Hey everyone, it's me Charlie here, welcome back. You've read the title, you know what's happening. We're going to Japan. It's gonna be amazing. We're seeing heaps of stuff. I personally don't really know what we're doing day by day, sort of just going with the flow. It's kind of exciting, honestly. We left pretty early this morning, showed up in Sydney around about lunchtime, which is where we are now, at my grandparents' place. It's a plane. This place is awesome. Tomorrow we're gonna have to leave really early to get to the airport, to go through security for like 3 hours, and then get on our flight, and then sit on a plane for like nearly 10 hours to Japan. Crikey. I brought a lot of books, so I'm kind of set. Japan, we're coming for you.
And your ramen.
I'ma eat it all. Next I see you will probably be on our plane, or maybe at the airport, I don't know. I'll film what I can, you know. But yeah, wherever we are, I'll see you there. We are gaming. Yep. We are in motion, lads. Huey, we're moving. We're about to go. This is terrifying. What? Gaming.
We getting there. Nearly there now. It's like a whole nother world up here. Look at that. It's like a cliff face made of cloud. It's amazing. ETA half an hour. We are so close now. Maybe I'd be able to see the place if we could see 10 minutes. You totally can see it, even through the clouds. It's not gonna focus, but it's there. That's not a good sound. Landing, boys. That's a better view. Look at that, land, and it's not ours. Incredible. This is it. This is the worst part, the landing. I'm gonna try and film it. I hope camera doesn't die. I hope this doesn't turn into found footage. We're coming in. Touchdown. Japan, here we come.
That baby Mexico is now. He's not 20 minutes short.
Did you film us from behind with that one?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I might need to do it again though. So you walk down the side of the glass.
The first thing that Huey said when we landed was that he just realized just how far from home we really were. And he was right, we were really, really far away from home. The furthest we'd ever been before, in a place we've never been. And that was kind of scary. But it was also very exciting. But it was amazing. There was such variety in all the places that we went to. There was a lot of city, but then nestled within the city was all these places that looked much older than all these buildings around were much more traditional. It was really cool. Sometimes when we were in Japan, it just felt like we were walking around Sydney, like we weren't really that far from home after all. And then other times it felt like an alien world. It was just so different from everything that we know. It was just wild how it differed so extremely. The first time that we were in Tokyo, we were there for 3 days, the Monday through to the Wednesday. Not really that long considering how large of a city it is, but I think we made really good use of our time. Saw a lot of different things. We went up the Tokyo Skytree, one of the tallest buildings in the world. We didn't go all the way to the top, but you know, whatever. Still cool, very cool views of the city. It feels almost unreal when you're up there because it's just city everywhere you look, and it just keeps on going and going and going. It's a lot, but it was really, really cool to go up there. We could actually see Mount Fuji from up there, which is really cool because it was one of the only times on the trip that we could, because we couldn't get out there this time around, because really you have to plan a whole day's trip around it. But it was really cool to be able to see the sun setting down over the city right next to Mount Fuji, right next to it. And there was this moment when everyone made this big collective sigh when the sun finally slipped behind the mountains. It was very cool. And once it got darker and people started turning their lights on, it looked just as cool. After the Skytree, we also saw a couple of other things before our cousins arrived from Melbourne, including Shibuya Sky, which was another really cool area where the first couple of shots of Tokyo that I used in this video were taken. It wasn't quite as high as the Skytree was, but you could still see a lot and it was still cool. It was also open as opposed to the Skytree, which was very concealed, so that was cool as well. More amazing views there, especially of Shibuya Square. It's like watching ants run around. Very, very busy square there. Really famous as well, which is actually where we went straight after that. It was cool to be able to see down from the top all the people moving and then being a part of it right after that. It was a little bit terrifying because somehow there's always like hundreds of people there. Every like couple of minutes when it comes around, there's just more people. Where do they keep coming from? I have no idea, but they're there. And we walked through there and it was very cool. And we tried not to get lost. We're all gonna die. Look at this. Also in Tokyo, the first time around, we went to the Pokemon Center Tokyo DX, which is the more recently opened Pokemon Center there. It's probably the less cool of the two that we saw when we were in Tokyo, but it was still pretty cool nonetheless. They had a pretty nice display going on there, and it was still fairly large. And then later we got to the place that I really wanted to go to, which was the Pokemon Center and Nintendo in Shibuya, which is like the big one. They're right across from each other. It was kind of hard to find, which was weird because you had to start on the bottom floor and then go up a bunch of escalators to get to the top. And we weren't really sure if we were even in the right place. But then finally, as we slowly ascended up the final escalator, and I could faintly hear, just in the background getting louder, Jump Up Superstar playing on the speakers, and then we finally reached the top. And we spun around, and there it all was. And then we walked around there for ages.
We go off the rails. Don't you know it's time to raise our sails? It's freedom like you never knew. Bags or a pass, say the word, I'll be there in a flash. You could say my hat is off to you. Oh, we can zoom all the way to the moon from this great wide wacky world. Jump with me, grab coins with me, oh yeah. It's time to jump up in the air. Jump up, don't be scared. Jump up and your cares will soar away. And if the dark clouds start to swirl, don't feel a tear, 'cause I'll be your one-up girl. So let's rock all you boys and girls all around the world. Don't be afraid to get up and move. So let's do the Odyssey.
Aside from those places, we also spent a lot of time in Tokyo just walking around, trying to get to places, getting lost, as per the title of the video, and eating a lot of really good food. We honestly didn't eat bad food the entire time we were in Japan. It was just great everywhere. It's my one regret, actually, that I didn't get to film more of our food, mainly because we were struggling so hard to actually find the places and get the food and eat, let alone film all of it. But it was really, really good. Our first night especially, we had ramen, which I was very excited for, and I think the very first night was the best ramen that we had the entire trip. We also had lots of other stuff, gyoza, bunch of other Japanese food. It was really good. Unfortunately though, our time in Tokyo was coming to an end. On Wednesday we hopped on the Shinkansen and we headed to Kyoto.
Get another chance in a second. We go around this mountain.
We are so close,
That's the shuttle.
and yet so far.
Hang in a second.
Kyoto was a really nice change of pace. While it was still very, very busy, just like pretty much everywhere we went in Japan, it did feel a lot smaller. Everything wasn't quite as large. We all had a bit more space. It was really nice. And we also had a fair bit of time to walk around there as well and see all of the different things just around in the streets. A couple of temples and things that were really cool. The main one being the Golden Temple. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce that, just butcher it woefully. There it is. There's how it's pronounced. It's very famous, and for good reason. It's a very serene spot, very, very calm. The temple itself, at least originally, was a Zen Buddhist temple. I'm not sure if it's still used, but it was originally. It's a 3-story building, and the entire top 2 stories are covered with pure gold leaf. Hence the name of the temple. It has a really cool history, actually. The history of the original temple dates all the way back to 1397. So it was really, really old. What's there now isn't the original temple, because the original burnt down in the 50s and then they rebuilt the whole thing. It's quite an interesting backstory. But yeah, there's heaps of cool stuff to see there. People tossing money, which is meant to be for good luck. That was just crap. Hold up.
You suck.
Come on. It's the wrong arm. Okay, come on. It was a really cool area. We arrived in Kyoto on the Thursday, and we were there until the Sunday. And we were lucky enough to get to see a bunch of cool stuff while we were there. Not only including the Golden Temple, but also the Nishi markets, which I unfortunately didn't get any footage of. Probably the best place we went in that period of time though, despite not actually being in Kyoto, but a day trip over to Osaka. Be a highlight of the entire trip, to be honest. It was very, very memorable. That being Universal Studios. The whole facility was split into a bunch of smaller individual parks and sections that were specifically themed around different franchises or places in the real world, such as Minion Park, Jurassic Park, Hollywood, New York, San Fran, that all each offered a large amount of things to do and see, which was excellent even for people like me who aren't huge on rides, especially some of those roller coasters. The Jurassic Park one in particular made me sick just watching it, not gonna lie. Excited to come here to Universal. There's so many awesome things to check out. It's cool. Oh no, Jesus Christ. We gotta leave. But I think everyone agreed that the favorite of the worlds was definitely Harry Potter World. Harry Potter World was definitely the place with the best atmosphere. Unfortunately, I've had to mute a lot of the audio because that place was just teeming with copyrighted sound, which is a no-go here on YouTube, unfortunately. But it was really amazing.
sherbet lemon. I'm sure what she's saying is great. Okay, okay, okay.
Please step forward. Welcome to our land. I am the wand keeper that we have been expecting you. Please tell me your name, Onamaewa.
Well,
Yes, no, here we are. Right then. Now, let us begin. You see, every Ollivander's wand has a core of a powerful magical substance. This wand is 15 inches and rather pliable. Let us see, Will. You can make that bell ring once. Raise your wand. Very good. Just once. Yes. A wand of Rowan. Let us see if you can levitate one of those wand boxes. Now, Wingardium Leviosa.
Guardian Leviosa.
Definitely not, Richard. Please allow me.
It's pretty cool.
Daijoubu. Wait a minute. I've been saving this one. Try this one. Bravo. With a core of phoenix tail feather, you are truly destined to make a mark. So now, will I say goodbye? Thank you for selecting all hands. Arigato.
Oh yeah, and while we were there, I also got to meet Charlie Brown. That was cool. I actually ran into him, so that was pretty funny. Once again, we took the Shinkansen home, probably one of the cooler modes of transport on this trip. And then when we got back to Kyoto, there were these cool lights on the steps in Kyoto Station that like lit up with different images and stuff. She got him a real human heart. And yes, you best believe that's my dumbass sliding down every single rail in the middle. The next day, we dragged ourselves out of bed after a very tiring day before to go to Fushimi Inari, which is a shrine that sits at the base of this mountain that's also called Inari and houses 10,000 torii gates, which are the like very stereotypical Japanese imagery gates. So we spent definitely a good couple of hours there walking around and went all the way to the top.
That's when you come back down this way.
Which way? This way?
Anyone got a blue flame? These things are hollow as hell.
Turned off the right way.
We don't. Go, Dad. It's a lot of steps. After that, though, we mostly spent the rest of our time in Kyoto just walking around, seeing stuff, eating lots as well, don't worry. And on Sunday, we hopped once again on the Shinkansen and we headed for Hakuba, for snow monkeys and for skiing. We might be finally going. Ooh, that's a door shut. Hey, we're in motion. And we're going backwards. Oh, this is kind of bad. Can we see him? I think we can see him. Ooh, 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 monkey, monkey. I see monkey. Whoa, that's shaky. Oh, monkey. Oh my god, monkey right here? Hey man. Alright, see ya. He's a fast one. He eludes my view. The monkey is hiding. Oh, they're trying to kill each other. The chase is on. The weakest one does. Wow. He's just chilling. Look at him, he's like posing.
Thomas Rick? What? You look like Thomas
This is amazing. Gotta be like once in a lifetime. Woof. Yucky, bro, don't eat that. Later.
Like grooming each other. That's perfect texture.
And the snow monkeys evolved into Russians. And Australians obviously evolved from kangaroos. He's coming. Is that him? Is that him? Are they scared? No, he's too small. So they have to look when they drink. Yeah, he's getting a dog.
There is a child in there.
Yeah, go.
Somehow. Just the occasional like head turn when he's like drinking and he's like, huh? Huh?
That monkey's sitting on the bridge there.
Where? Oh.
Did you hear that monkey yell?
All the monkeys in the area are running to see what's happening over here. Something's going down.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
It's feeding time. Oh my gosh.
Carol here. Look at this baby here.
Baby. Jeez. He just jumped an entire river. The hell? Oh my god. I missed it again. Oh my god. This is the most horrible thing. Oh! Look at him! Oh, it's so cute. That's so cool.
What is?
They're actually swimming. It's funny. This bloke is mad.
It's ADHD, that one.
Now, all the places we've stayed in so far, all the hotels, they've been good, but they haven't been like amazing or anything crazy. But this place, it's something else, man. It's over here. have to film this one. Shoes are illegal.
Oh yeah, there's a menu here. Might be.
Whoa.
Oh, I've got muddle up my leg.
This place is amazing.
What are you having?
It's very traditional. So traditional, in fact, that there isn't even any beds. Sleeping on the ground. Good news, the sleeping situation actually wasn't too bad because they moved the table over and we had these mats to sleep on. It was honestly just like sleeping in a swag, except those pillows. Those pillows are made of stone. I think they put rocks in them or something. Look at the freaking size of these koi. They're actual monsters.
And they're in such a small pond.
And then they can make swim all the way over there. They've got plenty of room, really. But after all of that, we were finally ready to move on to Hakuba and skiing. On Sunday, we once again got on the Shinkansen and made our way to Hakuba.
So good, guys. Crank 90s. Let's go. Oh my god, the whole thing opened up. What?
And then we went skiing for 4 days.
You do it, Dan. Go, Dan. Jump.
All in all, as you can see, it was a really good time. Despite the visibility on the first day basically looking like this, we were not about to let the weather stop us, and we still had an amazing time. And with that, sadly, our Japan trip was coming to a close. With only 3 days left in Japan before we came home, there wasn't a lot of time left, but that did not mean we were done doing everything. We really tried to cram heaps and heaps of stuff into this trip, and we really were busy every moment. On Saturday, we hopped back on the Shinkansen back to Tokyo for the last time. We still had 2 days there that we were definitely going to use, including visiting Team Lab Borderless, which had a lot of stuff going on in there. Wasn't too great to shoot because it was all pretty low light, but there should be some good stuff. There were heaps of rooms there. This next one especially was probably the coolest one there. It was a really bizarre place, but every room had something different to offer. Heaps to look at, which was awesome. We also visited the Sumida Hokusai Museum, which is completely dedicated to Hokusai, who is the Japanese artist who, among many other works, was behind the Great Wave. And a lot of his stuff was featured there, including a print of that famous piece of art. We also found one of these things, so good to know they're international, I guess. And then on the final night in Tokyo, we ate dinner at this restaurant that was in the movie Kill Bill, and these guys did some awesome drumming. Then we took our last sleep in Japan, and suddenly it was Monday. After one final stop at the Pokemon Center and Nintendo Shibuya for the second time.
How?
I picked up a couple of extra stuff. Imagine being here for a Nintendo Direct with everyone crowded around this screen. That'd be so awesome. Could have happened, but no. No Direct, Nintendo, where is it? It's January. Could have happened, could have happened. We were finally ready to go home. On the whole, our trip to Japan was absolutely amazing. Most likely once in a lifetime experience. Even if we do go back, it'll never be, you know, the same trip. We fit a lot of stuff into the time that we had there. We're all just very lucky to have the opportunity to be able to go. And if I ever had the chance, yeah, I'd totally go back, even if it was just for the food. But there was some other cool stuff. But enough about that. We've got a plane to catch.
Look at the departures board.
I'm sorry, but look, I'm convinced that that's our plane. What do you reckon?
Thanks for the Kita's cat. Oh, that's stonks.
Thank you. Here, look at it.
お願いいたします。成田国際空港出発機が多いため、ナンバードデパ
See you later, Japan. Hey, Huey, what's the deal with airline food? What? We've made it. We're home.
感じろこの道ずっと行けばあの街に続いてる気がする感じろどんなくじけそうな時だって決して
Bruh.
Me.
Drops the camera.
Thank you,
off.
Mum.